Yo.
What's good?
I live a thug life, baby. I'm hopeless.
He got a.
Seen he had Bam and what's his name up as the thumbnail.
Yeah.
It felt like Bam just fought like last week.
I think he
That was
fought last month.
June.
Maybe I think it was last month. Might have been the month before that.
It was actually June.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it felt like it was like yesterday. Pedro Guevara. Okay. I'm about to look at this whole card, see who's on it. Khalil Cole. I'm with that. I'm seeing that they got Amo Williams on here, but they don't got his opponent announced. Says to be announced.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, and the fight is in like 2 weeks. Who the hell is he? They got to figure that out.
Yeah.
Hope he bounces back strong. So you trying to find a new connection? He's done with StreamYard. What happened to StreamYard? They trying to overcharge you?
I don't know. He said something about last week. He was telling me that they upped their price to like $40. I mean, or $50, something like that. Yeah. And he said he just sent me a message saying I sent and yeah, and is on here. You not on here. Crush is on here. I'm on here and on here. You the only one that's missing.
What's happening, D Free Ant? What's going on with y'all?
What's going on, Crush?
Not
Chilling,
much,
man.
man. Been getting some rest, man. I had to get some rest. Not going on, man. What y'all cooking on?
We're not cooking on anything just yet. He's looking up this fight card that's coming up.
Okay. Well, we got Tim Zoo this weekend, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Tim Zoo this weekend. I just found out. I just found out today that Adula Mason is on that Keyshawn Davis card. I didn't know that.
Me either, D Free. Thanks
The
for letting
hardest
me know.
working prospect in boxing, ain't he?
Yeah.
God damn, he on every
Yeah.
card.
Yeah, that man be trying to fight like 6 times a year until he can get put in the top 10. He trying to get it in.
1, 2, 3, 4. Wait, hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He's already fought.
This
It's
gonna
about
be
to
a
be.
6th fight.
Yeah, he trying to fight like 6 times a year.
This is gonna be his fifth.
It's 5th. Okay.
Yeah, his fifth.
I remember I forgot who did the interview. I think it might have been Knockout who did the interview with him, and that's one of the things that he said. He said he's trying to fight like 6 times a year until he can get put in the contender spot. Once he become a contender, I mean, it slows down because now you gotta wait for certain fights. I mean, you can still fight as much as you want, but getting the ranked fights is not going to be as easy as getting just a regular fight. And that's what a lot of people don't realize, because I hear BVO is famous for saying this. He said they're gonna knock out right there. BVO is famous for saying this. He hate to see guys inactive, but the thing is, once they get to that contender status and they get to that championship status, the fights don't come as easy as it did when you was a prospect working your way up to those status. Fights don't come that easy unless you just taking any and every fight that's available. It don't come that easy. When you trying to get good quality fights to build your name, it don't come that easy just getting fights time and time again like that. I mean, Canelo, he fought 4 times. He's the only champion that fought 4 times. But we was complaining about the fights that he did fight. We was complaining about it because of his status.
Right.
I don't know where BVO at right now. Knockout. We waiting on him to get up here. I don't know where he at. I don't know what the problem is for him getting up here. He started the live, but he should be up here. I don't know where he at.
He'll pop up. He'll pop up in a minute, man. You know how he is. He'll pop out of nowhere.
What's going on, Bruce, guys?
Boots Cast, salute to you, man. Salute to everybody in the chat. Salute to everybody, man. How you feeling about this matchup this weekend? What you got on the D3?
I think it's gonna be a good matchup. I say it's more like a 60-40 fight. I think Tim Tszyu is a little more experienced than his opponent. When I say experience, I mean as far as quality fights. Now his opponent got a decent amount of fights on his resume, but the quality of opponents are not on the same level as Tim Tszyu. So I think it's going to be a decent fight. I think I'm a favorite Tim Tszyu like 60%, 60-40 in Tim Tszyu favor.
Okay.
One thing about them Russians, those are some tough individuals. I mean, it's not going to be an easy fight. They come to fight.
Yeah, they definitely do. All the time they come to fight, man. But yeah, I got a 60-40, but it should be a good fight. And then at the same time, you never know, man. You never know. Anybody can have a moment. So that's how I always look at it. Anybody can have a moment. So just about them seizing the moment when they get it, when the opportunity is there for them. But I ain't hear too much about the undercard. I just know about the main event.
I didn't hear too much about the undercard neither.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens, man. See what's next, who he wants next. I know he was talking about the bigger names, after this fight. So let's see who he gets in there, with him, who he gets in there with.
What's going on, Bruce, guys? What's going on, D for the win? Killer Mike. Who you like in that fight at Tim Tszyu versus I can't even pronounce the guy's last name.
Maverick. I had it right earlier, man.
Murtazaliev.
Yes, thank you, Ant. Thank you, sir.
I'm gonna just be biased and say Tim Tszyu. I ain't even gonna lie to you. I'm gonna just be biased because every time I see Tim Tszyu, I'm just more and more impressed with him. This guy has gotten progressively better.
Yeah, he has grown on me because I think maybe I say probably 3 or 4 that fight right before he fought Tony Harrison. I started looking at Tim Tszyu a little different. I started looking at him a little different. At first, I thought he was just somebody that was using Jamel's name for clout, but then I seen now he really wanted that fight, and I started looking at him a little different. He grew on me these last few fights that he had.
Yeah. Tim
I'm talking about the Terrell Gausha fight.
Oh, there's a BVO in the chat. Hey, Knockout been looking for you, BVO. Knockout been looking for you.
Yeah, he has improved in my opinion, man. His last few fights, he has gotten better. Because I used to call him Tim Doo-Doo. That he really wants.
Oh, that
not Case
of Boy. I mean, I said Case of Boy. Crush got dropped.
Huh?
Oh, there you go. There you go. Yeah, dropped off for a second.
Oh, okay, yeah, man. I like him. He grew on me. He gotten better. I give him that. I give him that. Still
You
ain't
said
messing with the guard.
BBO said Crush is a professional hater.
Oh, listen, man. I'm not gonna even entertain you right now, bro. I deal with you in the morning, man. Uh, BBO gonna see that, man. He always say that because I'm always being honest. That's all, and he don't like it. Y'all know, same old thing with BBO. Don't worry about it, man. Get over it. Get over it.
I'm trying to figure out why BBO ain't up here.
I don't know what's
I
going on
don't
with
know.
that dude, but yeah, Tim Zoo, man, he's a crafty individual, man. I gotta give him his credit. Shawa calls him the paler. His guard manipulation game is filthy. Like amongst some guys that are at that championship level right now, especially at 154, I think like he's one of the better guys in close. Like the way he just be paling the guard down and placing shots behind it, pretty damn good cutting the ring off. No, I wouldn't say he has no defense. I thought so too. He got a sneaky little defense. He's crafty. I think the biggest thing with Tim Zoo is this. He's Frankenstein. He's Frankenstein from the waist down. His upper body movement is much improved. His catch and shoot game, like, is getting better and better every time. That Tony Harrison fight, I feel like that's where he really turned the corner with his counter punching.
Yeah. I think his defense is similar to Arthur's defense. He he baits you in to have a fight. He baits you in to have a fight so you can leave yourself open. I think he has pretty good defense. It's not A1, but it's pretty good. I think he a lot of times he get hit because he's baiting his opponent in, so he can unload with his offense.
I think it's his feet. That's the thing. His upper body movement is good. His guard is pretty solid. He does a pretty good job of picking off shots, catching shots on the gloves. His feet, though, man, that's his biggest deficiency.
Yeah, he don't have no feet at all. His feet, and
That's why I said he Frankenstein from the waist down.
yeah, you would have thought he would have feet because his father didn't have bad footwork. Now it wasn't the greatest footwork, but it wasn't bad neither. So you would have thought he has some type of footwork.
His footwork isn't absolutely atrocious because when I look at footwork, it's not always just about the speed. I think he got slow feet, but in terms of positioning, his positioning
Right,
is
right.
typically pretty damn good. Because there were some moments in that Mendoza fight where I was impressed that he was able to take a certain angle and cut him off. Because Brian
Mhm.
Mendoza is a guy that can move. Like you watch Brian Mendoza fight, that guy can move. Like I watched his fight with Thomas Lamana, even his fight with Fundora. Like that's how he was able to land that shot on Fundora where he was able to get him up out of there. Like Brian Mendoza can move pretty damn well.
Yeah,
Um, but Tim Zoo down the stretch, he was able to cut him off. And he's a perfect example, in my personal opinion, of it's not always bad to be square. Like sometimes it's okay to be square, like it's circumstantial, especially
yeah,
when you're trying to cut a guy off. If you're out there trying to cut a guy off in a bladed stance, it's going to be a lot more difficult because you're a lot more narrow. So you're not going to be able to impede his progress as much. But if you square up a little bit, it's like playing defense in basketball. You know, you stand and bladed like all the way to the side. The guy can just attack the top foot and just go around you, now forcing you to reset. But if you open up just a little bit, square up, and then here's the other thing too, is being able to bring the power hand a little bit closer so you can just corral him. So I think he does a good job of just doing little things like that with the deficiencies that he has and foot speed. I think he does a great job of putting himself in position.
yeah. I mean, when you do square up, you gotta pick the right moment to square up because squaring up it does leave you off balance. If you were to
True.
get hit with a straight shot, you will be off balance. So yeah, you gotta know when to square up and when not. Like A lot of guys, when they do square up, it's not because they squaring up to get positions, because they squaring up because of bad footwork. A lot of guys just have bad footwork, and they square up because they trying to uh, get some type of velocity on their punches. So it's just bad footwork. But yeah, I mean, it's not bad to square up. Like I said, as long as you know long as you pick the right moments when to
You
square
gotta
up.
know when to. Yep.
Yeah,
And that's one thing I seen with Tim is like over time he's gotten better at making those judgments, making those decisions. Like, all right, I got the guy. He's clearly trying to retreat. Now I got to track him down
right,
because
right,
that
right.
one fight it did cost him, and that was a couple fights ago. It was the fight that you mentioned, the Terrell Gausha fight, the fight before Tony Harrison,
Mm-hmm.
and he got caught square with a straight right hand right down the pipe, and he got sat down. But
Mm-hmm.
I'll say that since then he's gotten a lot better at picking those spots, like when I'm gonna square up and try to get after the guy.
Right.
Murtazaliev, I gotta watch some of him because the one thing I will say about them Russian guys, just that Soviet school of boxing, they do a fantastic job of making sure that these guys are well versed in the fundamentals. I was watching this card earlier today. It was on
Excuse me.
the IBA or IBA, however you want to
Excuse
pronounce
me.
it. And they had a slew of Russian fighters on there, and all of them guys were really sound. There was one cat in particular fighting at Bridgerweight. I was like, damn, it's like they just churn them out, man.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. A lot of those Russian guys, they gonna come to fight. They might not be the most talented or the best fighter, but they gonna come to fight. You definitely gonna get your money's worth fighting those individuals because all of them come to fight, whether they get beat up or not. They come to fight.
Yeah, and them
Uh,
dudes usually have power and they usually have good fundamentals. That's the one thing I say about them typically. I haven't
and
watched
they,
too much of Murtazaliev to say just like how talented he is, but just going off of assumption, just knowing what I know about that Soviet school of boxing, this should be a pretty damn good fight just on that basis.
yeah, I think it's gonna be action packed. I think both of them fight a similar style. They come forward. Um, there's not going to be a whole lot of chasing your opponent down. I think they both going to be right there to be hit. It's just a matter of whose skills is better. I think Tim Tszyu got the better skills, um, but it remains to be seen because who knows? This dude might pack a punch and Tim Tszyu can't recover from one of those shots that he might get caught with.
Well, that's the thing. I got to go look at Murtazaliev. I got to see if he's ever been down. I'll say this about Tim Tszyu. At the very least, I know that this dude he's a tough customer. He's game and he can deal with adversity.
Yeah,
He can deal with adversity. I remember that fight that he had with the tall southpaw dude earlier on in his career. Wade Ryan was the guy's name. He dropped Tim Tszyu, dropped him with a straight left hand, like right down the pipe. He got up, fought to a decision, if I'm not mistaken. And then the other fight that he had with Terrell Gausha, he got dropped early in that fight. He got up, won the decision. To be honest with you, I felt like he showed a little bit too much dog against Fundora because had they stopped that fight around the fourth round, it would have been a no contest. He would have kept his belt, but he's so much of a dog. He's out there fighting with that nasty ass gash in the middle of his head, just bleeding all
right,
over the place profusely. But he should have
right.
just like, yo, let me get my no contest and get the hell up out of here. And then he would have kept his belt. But Tim Tszyu, he felt like he could fight through it. So we know at the very least, this guy is no stranger to danger. And when danger does approach, he doesn't turn down. Now, Murtazaliev, we don't know. We could make assumptions though, because like you said, that region where he comes from, them Russian guys, for whatever reason, them dudes they just tough. They the type of dudes like they drink vodka at 6 years old. Like these dudes are
Yeah,
just built like that, just different type of cats.
yeah. I don't know if he ever been sat down, but he got a 73 knockout ratio, a 73% knockout ratio, which is 2% higher than Tim Tszyu. He's 22-0 with 16 knockouts. Tim Tszyu is 24-1 with 17 knockouts. So both these guys is can pack a punch. Like I said, the only knock on the other guy is the quality of opponents. That's the only knock. I don't know how good his quality of opponent is because I never really seen him fight like that. So I don't know how good his quality opponent. Now, when it comes to their measurements, he's taller than Tim Tszyu. He's 6 foot. Tim Tszyu's 5'9", but they got the same arm reach. They both got 72-inch arm reach. They both fight out of orthodox. So it's pretty much an even matchup. It's pretty much an even matchup. Like I said, it's just going to come down to experience and skill level. Who's more experienced and whose skill level is better? What's going on, Teach?
Yeah, I know this for sure because I got Murtazaliev up right now on another tab. I can say without question that Tim Tszyu certainly has the superior hand speed. Tim Tszyu actually got some sneaky fast hands, yo. Like he's not a dude that you would associate with hand speed, but seeing him in his past couple of fights in there with guys that are known for, being quick, sharp punches, and how he was able to beat some of these guys to the punch. I was very impressed with him.
He's 31 years old. Tim Tszyu's 29. But he started his career 2 years before Tim Tszyu. He started in 2014. Tim Tszyu started in 2016. But Tim Tszyu got more pro rounds than him by 40. He got 101. Tim Tszyu got 141. So Tim Tszyu's been a little more active than he has. He started 2 years prior to Tim Tszyu, but Tim Tszyu been more active than he has. I don't know what was his setback. I don't know if he had an injury or something like that. That's the reason why he had a setback as far as his activity. But for him to have 3 less fights than Tim Tszyu, and he started 2 years prior than Tim Tszyu started, is kind of a question mark.
Yeah, I'm looking at his box rec right now. It seems like the COVID year did a little damage to him.
Okay, yeah.
That's far as having to take a hiatus, yeah. Because I'm looking, it's like 2019 he fought 3 times, in 2020 he only fought once. Then he only fought once in 2021. He fought twice in 2022. And for whatever reason, he took the whole of 2023 off, and then he fought earlier this year in April.
Okay. So he didn't fight at all last year.
Nope. He took the whole year off.
So
and a couple of months on top of that too, because he didn't fight until April of this year. Yeah. And his last fight in 2022 was in December. So that's about what, like a good 14-month layoff? No, more than that.
There's more than that.
It's about 16, 17 month layoff.
16 months.
Yeah,
because you go from December, that's 12.
Yeah, that's 12.
January, February, March, April. Yeah,
about
16 month layoff.
But he's back now.
Yeah,
I'm looking at his last fight right now. They got him listed at 6 feet, but he looks taller than that. I got to see how tall Jack Coquet is, because there's no way. Okay, they got Jack Coquet at 5'7". That makes sense, because I'm like, yo, he's towering over this dude.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be an interesting fight.
Yeah, I think the hand speed is probably gonna make the difference. The hand speed, like neither guy has the quickest of feet, but just from watching them, I think Tim Tszyu is going to be able to get him. I don't think the height is going to be a big deal either, because you've seen the way he was able to close the gap against Sebastian Fundora.
Yeah. Bentley said your boy Charlo gets bodied by Tim Tszyu. No, I don't think he get bodied. He might get beat. I don't think he get bodied. Now, if he fights Tim Tszyu now, I think he'll get beat, but I don't know about a body. If Canelo couldn't body him, Tim Tszyu ain't gonna better body him. He ain't gonna better keep up to Jermell Charlo. Jermell Charlo know how to survive. So if he couldn't get bodied by Canelo, Tim Tszyu definitely ain't gonna body him. He moved up 2 weight classes to fight Canelo.
Yep. Jamel's sturdy, man. That's one thing about him. They don't call the man Iron Man for no reason. But
Yeah.
I will say this. One thing about Mel is we know Mel don't have the highest of output. So I do think there's a scenario in which Tim Tszyu outworks him. But I agree with you. I don't think it'll be a body. But hey, stranger things have happened. Anything is possible. But I personally, I don't see that being the case. I think
Yeah.
Tim Tszyu will probably outwork him. And it'll
Yeah,
probably be a fight similar to the first what's my
Brian
guy's name?
Castano.
Brian Castano. I think it'd be a similar fight to that first fight.
Yeah. I think he had lay on the ropes a little bit too much, and instead of keeping the fight in the center of the ring. Because with somebody like Tim Tszyu, Brian Castano, you want to keep the fight in the center of the ring because they don't have the best footwork. So you can give them different angles and keep them turning, and it'll make them have to reset where you can get off your offense while they having to keep reset. When you laying on the ropes, you giving them opportunities. You can't go nowhere. You giving them opportunity to load up and get their attack off.
Said Canelo couldn't body him because he ran the whole fight. Hey, there were quite a few moments where Canelo had him pinned up on the ropes. I got to give Charlo his credit. I mean, physically, he's durable. That's one thing we do know. The guy is durable. We can question his motives for that fight, whether or not it was just a money grab. Hey, I ain't gonna argue with you there, but I will say that the dude is pretty damn durable. There was only that one shot where it looked like it got a little bit turbulent for him when he took that little shot on the temple, the right hand, and he took the knee. But he did the smart thing. He took the knee. Outside of that, he didn't really appear to be in too much trouble.
I'm glad. K Savoy said that. He said Jermell Charlo ran the whole fight. Now we beat up Jerome Business with the current fight. We beat up Shakur Stevenson with the Autumn fight. Canelo Alvarez is more experienced than all of them. Canelo Alvarez didn't cut the ring off on Jermell Charlo. Is it just the fact that the dude just got better footwork and sometimes you just can't cut the ring off on certain individuals?
Yeah, sometimes that's the case, but I do think that Canelo got there quite a bit. I rewatched that fight recently, and Canelo, he was able to trap him up on the ropes. I just think that we got to give Jermell Charlo his just due and acknowledge his durability. It's just that simple to me because there were quite a few shots. He's hitting them on the shoulders, hitting them on the hips. He just couldn't break him down physically. He might have tamed him a little bit mentally to where Jermell didn't really want to throw too much and not open up. But
yeah, I think Jermell got caught with a shot early in that fight, and he realized that Canelo power is real, and he was like, you know what? I am not going to be a meme. And from that moment on, he said, I'm just going to survive. I'm not getting knocked out. I'm going to survive. Because Canelo definitely can hit.
no, definitely. No, Canelo, he got a nice punch on him. Especially when you consider that he's moved up several weight classes too.
Yeah, I think Jermell will give Tim Tszyu a good fight. I just, being though he has such a long layoff, I would want to see him in a tune-up fight prior to fighting anybody at the top of 54. I don't care who it is. Anybody at the top of 54, I would want Jermell Charlo to get a tune-up fight before he fight any of those guys, because all of those guys have been fighting since Jermell's been out. Since Jermell had that fight with Canelo, all those guys had a fight or two. So
That's true.
I would definitely need to see him in a tune-up fight, because I don't want to. If you beat Jermell Charlo, I want you to get full credit. I don't want them to say, "Oh, it's coming off a long layoff. He ain't been active." I want everybody. If you win a fight, I want you to get full credit for winning the fight. I don't want it to be no excuses of why a person won a fight, because the one thing that I like to see is a good fight. If you beat him, you beat him. You the better man. I don't want it to be an excuse why you had it the victory over a certain individual.
Hey, that's fair. Plus, give him some time to get situated at 154 once again. After going up to 168, come back down, get a fight, recalibrate, acclimate yourself back at 154. Then you go after some of the bigger names.
Matter of fact, let me see who else is on this card, because I didn't even pay attention who else was on this Tim Zoo card. Let me see who else is on this card. Let me see. I gotta see who else is on this card, because there's really nobody that we know.
Well, the good thing is this is the first free Amazon card.
Yeah, it's the first free Amazon card. Yeah, it's literally. I think the only person on here I know is Tellis.
Yeah, I know you're on this. Tell us. I like Daniel Perro too. I know him. He's a heavyweight from Cuba. I seen him fight before. Yeah, he looked pretty solid. Yeah. But you can see what this card is supposed to be if you're looking at the event, because I'm looking at the event on BoxRec, and there's a whole lot of showcase fights on here. Like at the very bottom, you got Michael Garcia. He's 4-1. The guy he's fighting is 13-25. Then you got another prospect on here, Roberto Raul Rivera Gomez. He's 4-0, but the guy that he's fighting is 9-25-1. There's only about 3 fights on here that look relatively even in terms of like level and experience, just based off of these guys' records. You got this guy Jackson Blanco versus Angel Ilaraza. That looks pretty even. You got one guy who's 6-0, the other one is 9-1-0. But let me see how old this guy is, because he might be an older guy who's coming off of a damn layoff or something like that. Oh, okay. Well, he's coming off of a knockout loss. He just got knocked out in May by a guy who was 1-2-1.
Wow.
Yeah. You got Gary Antonio Russell coming back after that loss to Emmanuel Rodriguez. He's coming off of a 2-year layoff. So naturally, they're going to give him a soft touch. He's in there with this dude named Jaden Berniers, who is 6-2-2.
Yeah.
This card is pretty much a showcase.
Yeah, pretty much, except for when you get to the last 3 fights of the card.
Right. Everybody else, though, like I'm looking at this other prospect they have on Justin Valoria. He's 20 years old, 6-0, 4 knockouts. The guy that he's facing is 16-40-7.
Wow. 16-40-7.
Yeah. The guy is currently on a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 fight losing streak.
When you get a record like that, you don't look at boxing as a career anymore. You look at boxing as a job. You got 16 wins, 40 losses, and 7 draws. That's not a career. That's a job. I don't know if I could continue boxing. If after I won 16 fights and I started losing back to back. I'm like, you know what? I'm done. I ain't doing this no more. to take
Crazy thing is, he
41.
got multiple losing streaks. I'm looking right now. He got a losing streak from 2015 to 2017. He lost 3 fights in a row. Then he won one. He won a decision in 2017. Then he went on another 3 fight losing skid. Then he won a fight by split decision. Then he lost 3 in a row after that. Then he won one by majority decision. Then he lost. Then he had a draw, and then he had 3 losses consecutive. Then he won a fight by TKO. Then he lost 3, had a draw, and then right now, then he had a damn. How many fights is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 fight losing streak. Then he had a draw, then 2 more losses. Then he won a majority decision. Then he had a majority draw, and then now he's on this current 8 fight losing streak.
This
God
man had
damn.
a 12 fight losing streak.
Yeah, that's
God,
rough.
God.
Yo, I commend him. I commend him for
I mean,
continue to get in there. Like, I
yeah,
ain't gonna lie to you.
I give him his props for getting in there. But at some point, do the trainer look at him and say, you know what? This is not for you. This is not for you. Or they just like, you know what? We getting paid. If you want to keep getting in there, we're gonna keep training him. We getting
I
paid.
think it's what you just said. We getting paid because I'm looking. Yo, bro, this current 8 fight losing streak that he's on, 6 of them are from this year. Like, he fought February 15th. He was back in the ring March 23rd. And then he was back in the ring 11 days after that. He fought, 12 days after that, 11, 12 days after that. He fought March 23rd, then he fought April 4th. Then he fought June 15th. Then he fought, like, literally, like, every month he got a loss this year. Every month he got a loss this year.
At some point, daggone the commissioner, you got to say, hey, you need to sit down for a while. You just getting beat up. You just getting in the ring getting beat up. You got to sit down.
Yeah.
That's crazy. A 12 fight losing streak, and then you turn around and go on an 8 fight losing streak.
It's rough for my guy, but listen, I respect the fact that he's still getting after it. But like you said, I think it's more along the lines of right now it's a job. I'll tell you this though. A guy like that, he might mess around and be a hell of a trainer because he got a lot of experience. He got like 67 fights.
Speaking of that, I saw somebody fight on a fight card. I think it was last week or it might have been the week before that. And I'm almost certain y'all seen the same card because it was on, I think it was on ESPN. And it was a dude in there. He was fighting against somebody who was 116-2. This man had 116 losses. I said, hold up. Hold up. 116 losses? I was like, nah, dog. No. I said, this got to be a typo. And then you know how they announce them. And this how you know it was true. Because usually when they announce your record. They just announced his name. They didn't even say his record. They just gave his name and went straight to the fight. I was like, this man got 116 losses. That's the first time I ever seen an announcer fight and not go over their record. Because usually they say, oh, he got 24 fights, 17 of those fights by knockout or something like that, and then they say the losses. They didn't even mention his record at all. They just said his name and went straight to meeting in the center of the ring. I was like, yeah, this don't look good at all. And I think he got stopped in the second round. Might have been the third round. It was either second or third round. He ended up getting stopped. I was like, oh, y'all gotta just
them guys that be like that, man. Sometimes it's not even so much a matter of them not even having talent. It's just having the right affiliations. Like, that stuff can make a world of a difference for these fighters. Having the right affiliation so you can, get the proper training to where, because as fans, we make fun of guys. Hey, this guy's he's a Uber driver. He's that, and he's this and he's that. Nah, these guys really be real life Uber drivers and other things because they don't have the backing. They don't have the financial security to where they could just throw all their eggs into that boxing basket and just train all day.
Yeah, I remember it was one guy who had fought for a title. This was a few years back. He had fought for a title, but he was a police officer, and I'm not sure if he won that title or it was a close fight. I can't remember what happened, but I do remember that he was a police officer. It was over, I think like Minnesota or something. He was a police officer like Minnesota or something like that. But I'm like, damn, this dude is an actual police officer. He boxing too. Well, a lot of these guys got full-time jobs and they hope boxing could take off for them. But some of them it never do.
Orlando Salido, when he was the world champion, he was still driving Uber.
Wow. After he had beat Loma? Or before Loma?
Before Loma. Actually, during the Lomachenko fight, he was still driving Uber.
That's crazy.
And that's what I'm saying, man. Everybody ain't as fortunate to have the resources and the connections to where they could just lock in and just all you got to do is box.
And that's what I was telling people. Bro. People say, "Oh, when you get a title, you get more money." Not necessarily.
Not all the time. Not all the time.
And that's what I was talking about with the Brian
Norman Jr. Yeah.
He. I mean, it doesn't look like he's going to have this fight on November 9th. And I know he was supposed to get $400,000 for that fight or something like that. That was what we reported. He was getting like $400,000 for that fight. But now that that fight is off, you about to make another fight. You said you didn't take the boots in his fight because they didn't give you $2 million. And you're a champion now. And the only reason why you was only getting $400,000 and you was fighting on the undercard because they wasn't expect you to be champion. Well, that means you should be looking at big bucks your next fight then. Because this was a last minute slide in.
Yeah, man. These guys got to get paid, man. I ain't opposed to anybody getting their money. Get your money so you could focus up and just do what you want, do what you're supposed to do. It's also why I respect a lot of these trainers too. These guys that work with these fighters from the amateurs, and they got to put up money out of their own pocket to travel and take them from tournament to tournament.
Yeah. See, that's what a lot of people don't realize. They think, oh, he's a fighter. They get paid. Nah, not all the time. I mean, unless you got the right promotional company behind you, or you got a nice following. A lot of times these guys don't get paid, especially early in their career. And they making somewhere around $1,500 a fight, something small. And then when you get to the later part of their career, I mean the middle part of their career, depending on how their backing is, whether they get a good payday or not. Because as you see, Brian Norman, his last fight prior to what he was supposed to get this fight, he was only getting $190,000. Now I say only $190,000 because Brian Norman, he's not a household name, but he does have a name. A lot of people know who he is. Not the casuals, but a lot of people that follow boxing know who Brian Norman Jr. is. And he got $190,000. And then you look at somebody like Teofimo, that fight that he had with Josh Taylor, if he would have came out and told anybody how much money he made, everybody would have swore up and down he made a couple of $1 million for that fight. But he told everybody, I've never made more than $1 million fighting under Top Rank. That's the most he ever got. Fighting under Top Rank was $1 million. and that was for the daggone Josh Taylor fight. They would have thought he made more than that fighting Loma. He didn't make that much fighting Loma.
And it's televised at Madison Square Garden.
Yeah.
It's very easy to make these assumptions that guys are just cashing out with every fight.
Nah, a lot of these guys don't get paid like that. I mean,
one of my favorite examples is Sergio Martinez. I love me some Sergio Martinez. Marve, like, yo, when he fought Antonio Margarito, I was watching his documentary. They say he only made $900 for that fight.
Damn. Damn.
Could you imagine that? Fight Antonio Margarito and you make $900?
I make more than that just sitting at home typing on my computer. And you expect me to go in there and fight somebody on national TV and only make $900? Nah, not gonna happen. Not gonna happen. But yeah, these guys don't be getting paid like that all the time. That's why a lot of times I don't care about the guys getting the bags. Now, when you getting greedy and somebody offering you more than you've seen before, and you're like, oh no, I want more than that. I'm like, come on, man, the man is offering you more than you ever seen before. At some point, you got to say, okay, you know what? I'm pushing the envelope a little bit too far. Let me go ahead and take this fight because this is a payday.
Yeah. But here's the other thing too, man. I think the assumptions, they come into play. You see a guy have a successful event, boots with Avanesian. They talking about they sold over 14,000 tickets and so on and so forth. You're like, damn, I know we could generate that in the unified match to where whatever it is that I'm asking for isn't an unreasonable demand. So that you got to walk that fine line, because I feel where you coming from, because you spot on. Sometimes you got to be like, all right, let me not push it too far, and let me get something substantial. I ain't gonna let them lowball me, but we gonna get something substantial. But we can't go too far with it. But by the same token, if you looking and you hearing about the success of these events and you feel like that success can be duplicated, you might have to ask yourself, okay, how far is too far as pushing the line is concerned?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that is. But like fighting somebody like a Tank Davis. If Tank Davis say, hey, we're gonna give you a guarantee 1.5 or 2 million. Like, nah, I want 5 million guaranteed. You know, off the top, it's going to be a pay-per-view fight. You're getting money on the back end. You gotta say, you know what? Okay, I take the 1.5. How much am I getting on the back? I mean, what's my percentage on the pay-per-view? Because you can't give me 1.5 and only give me 20% on the pay-per-view. I need somewhere around 40 or 35 on the pay-per-view percentage, because we know Tank Davis is going to do a decent amount of pay-per-view numbers. We know he's going to do a decent amount. How much? We don't know exactly how much, but we know it's going to be a decent amount. So,
hey, I mean, that's fair.
Some of these situations, I just be looking. I'm like, okay, you pricing yourself out. I mean, because you know what the individual can do. You know what he's bringing to the table, like with a Tank Davis or even a Canelo Alvarez. Or I mean, you ain't even got to go that far. You can say somebody like who else can I say? Even Earl Spence, when Earl Spence was fighting with the whole Bud situation. If Earl would have said, you know what, this man is asking for too much, I'm done. That would have been solely on Bud, because you was pushing the envelope just a little too far. You know what he does. You know he's a bigger star than you are. Even though you might have more accolades, he's a bigger star. At some point, you got to say, you know what, I'm pushing it just a little bit too far. It just so happened Earl wanted that fight more than Bud wanted it.
Yeah, but I think for me that one's a little tricky. It's a little tricky because the anticipation of that fight, I feel like Bud was the perfect dance partner for Errol Spence because, to my understanding, that's Errol Spence's highest selling pay per view as well. And I don't feel like he would have did that with just anybody because the anticipation was so great for years.
Yeah,
That shit caused damn near a civil war amongst boxing fans.
right, right.
Like who's the guy? Is it Errol Spence? Is it Terrence Crawford? I feel like just like the hype alone, and even still, some people felt like the result was a little bit of a letdown. Like you thought it
Yeah,
was going to be better than the turnout, but I mean, still reported over 700,000 pay per view buys. That's nothing to sneeze at, especially in this day and age when people can just fire stick and watch from
but
one of these damn streaming sites.
that's what I had always said it was going to be. Me personally, I said it's going to be somewhere between 600,000 and 700,000. Everybody saw the Tank Davis versus Ryan, and they was like, "Oh, they did 1.2. Oh, Bud and Earl got to do more than that." Nah, not necessarily. These guys are fighting to the same fan base. Tank and Ryan was fighting to two different fan bases. You got Mexican versus black because it's two different fan bases. Earl and Bud are both black. They fight to the same fan base. Most people that was watching that fight was either a fan of Earl or a fan of Bud, and then you had a lot of people that was a fan of both of them. So they was fighting to the same fan base. For them to do 700,000, I think that's probably the most that they could have done. I don't think they could have did too much more than that.
Hey, that's reasonable. That's reasonable. But I would say maybe they could have did a little bit more. Had the fight happen just a tad bit sooner. Had it just
I
happened
mean,
just a tad bit sooner. And the only reason why I say that is this: there may have been some people who had some reservations about the quality of the fight based on everything that Arrow had gone through at that time. I feel
yeah, I
like
can
if it
see
would
that
have
playing
been
a part.
right after like the Sean Porter fight or something like that, because people were talking about that fight for
Yeah, yeah.
years, even before Errol had fought Sean Porter, before he fought Danny Garcia, any of them guys. Like a lot of people, myself included, we were all
Mhm.
excited for that fight. So, but who's to say? I mean, still 700,000 is. I mean, damn,
That's still good.
that's
I
a
mean,
hell of a success. Yeah.
yeah, that's good. Like a lot of people like, oh, y'all didn't do this. I'm like, dog, that's good, especially for the simple fact that Bud never did nowhere near that, and Earl never did nowhere near that. And a lot of people would say, oh, it's going to be somewhere around 400 to 500,000 because we know Earl bring roughly around 300,000 and Bud brings somewhere around 100,000. For them to do 700,000, that showed you how much the fans wanted that fight, and it was good. But y'all was saying, "Oh, that fight should have did a lot more." I mean, it could have did more. And what you said is probably is true. Prior to the accident and all that, I think at the highest peak was right after the Ugas fight. If they would have made that fight right then and there, I think it would have sold more. I think when Bud took that David Aberdeen fight, I think a lot of people just say, you know what, I don't even care if this fight happened or not. I don't even care.
I started teetering in that direction myself. I ain't gonna lie to you. I was like, if it happened, it happened. If it don't, it don't. that's that's how I started feeling about the fight. I'm like, hey, if it happens, it happens. If it don't, it don't. Either way, I'm gonna be cool. That's how I feel about a lot of these fights, though, to be honest with you. I'm like, hey, if
Yeah,
we get it, we get it. If we don't, that's cool. Boxing goes on.
yeah. I mean, you always gonna have fights that you want it to happen and it never happened. And it's not like the Tank and Devin will be the first fight that y'all wanted to happen and it never happened. That it ain't gonna be the first one, it ain't gonna be the last one because a lot of people wanted the Bud and Lennox Lewis. I mean the Bo and Lennox Lewis. A lot of people wanted the Aaron Pryor and Sugar Ray Leonard. A lot of people wanted a lot of different fights that never happened. And so it ain't gonna be the first time, it ain't gonna be the last time. This is what happened in the sport of boxing. Sometimes people outgrow weight classes and the fight just don't happen, or the political side happens and the fight never happens. So it just you just gotta take it what's given to you. You can't complain about every single fight that comes up there that's not the fight that you want to happen. And that's why I see a lot of people, if it's not the fighter that you want that fighter to fight, they got to complain about it. But so what are you saying about the other fighter that you didn't have in that situation? Are you saying that that's a bad fighter? Like, no, it's not a bad fight. Well, if it's not a bad fighter, then what's the problem with the fight? If you saying this fighter is good or he's not a bad fighter, then what's the problem with the fight? Oh, well, he should have been fighting. Well, it didn't happen. So you just going to put down the other fighter because he wasn't fighting the guy that you wanted him to fight? You're just going to put the other guy down.
I agree. Because I've been saying to myself, maybe it's me being empathetic, but looking at all of the hoopla around this Tank and Lamont Roach fight, I'm like, damn, I would hate to be Lamont Roach right now.
Yeah.
Because y'all talking about me like I really ain't shit. Like what am I doing? Like if I'm not a worthy opponent, then like who is?
Right. I'm like, this man, he fought his way to be a champion. Although y'all saying, oh, well, he's coming up from 130. Okay, he's coming up from 130 as a champion from 130. But y'all didn't take into consideration he had more fights at 35 than Tank Davis had. This man fought at 35 more times than Tank Davis fought at 35. So who's really the smaller guy? Who's really the smaller guy? Y'all said, oh, he's bringing somebody else up from 130. But y'all didn't look at this man's resume. Y'all didn't follow Lamont Roach his entire career to realize this man has fought at 140. He's fought at 35 multiple times. Y'all just see that he came up from 130. But Lamont Roach is a worthy opponent. I mean, they got history. They sparred each other and they fought each other in the amateurs. So they got history.
Yeah, but like, could you imagine being 25-1, a champion, a damn good fighter? You got pedigree and everything, and
right,
all people could do is just criticize you and just land-base you and just make it seem like you ain't shit.
What's going on, Tim?
It's like, what do I gotta do? What do I gotta do to get a little bit of respect around here, man?
Why y'all hating on me getting a bag? I can't get a bag. Everybody else can get a bag, but I can't get a bag. I gotta wait to get a bag. Nah, that man got an opportunity to get a bag. See, this is the problem that I had with the Lamont Roach fight. I mean, not that I had with the Lamont Roach fight. This is what I had with the people that's talking about the Lamont Roach fight. Prior to Tank announcing that it was Lamont Roach, everybody kept saying, "Oh, Tank Davis gonna fight El Rayo. Tank Davis gonna fight El Rayo. We gonna see Tank. We already know what Tank gonna do. This is what he always do." And then he said he's fighting Lamont Roach. Oh, well, why you ain't fighting El Rayo? El Rayo was available. Like, didn't y'all just complain because y'all thought he was gonna fight El Rayo? Now y'all wanted him to fight El Rayo. Y'all prefer the Rayo fight over Lamont Roach, but y'all was complaining about the El Rayo when y'all thought it was going to be him. The same way with the whole Pitbull situation. They thought he was going to rematch Pitbull, and then he came out with the Frank Martin. Oh, Frank Martin is he's an overage prospect. But Frank Martin was a good fight for Shakur Stevenson. Now all of a sudden he's an overage prospect for Tank Davis. So are you saying Tank Davis is better than Shakur Stevenson? Because if you said it was a good fight for Shakur, but it's a bad fight for Tank, then that means Tank must be better than Shakur. You can't have it both ways.
Yeah, it's one of those. It just depends on who you ask, man. It depends on who you ask. It depends on who you ask.
That's why I just be sitting back laughing at these fans. I'm like, okay, all right, that's what it is now. That's what okay, all right. That's why a lot of times, I mean. You watch me debate enough on Fridays. A lot of times I use these words that these fans be saying, and I use it against them. I use it against them because y'all can't have it both ways. Y'all say one thing and then y'all say something different when it doesn't go the way you thought it was going to go. I told everybody time and time again. Let Tank Davis announce his fight and then you can criticize it whether it's good or bad. You can critique the fight once it's been announced. Everybody want to assume who Tank Davis is going to fight. When we know Tank Davis, don't never let nobody know who he's fighting until it's time for him to make the announcement. That's when we find out who Tank is going to fight. We have never heard who Tank is going to fight prior to him making an announcement. Some people took a wild guess and guessed correctly, but there was no clues that he was going to fight him. You just took a wild guess. So I just be sitting here laughing. Like, oh, well, you heard what his team say. Well, if you know Tank Davis and you know Tank Davis team, you know Coach Kenny and Coach Calvin don't make none of Tank Davis fights. They never have. They never will. They could suggest who they want him to fight, but they don't make the fights. They're not in the room making the fights. That's Al Heyman. Al Heyman, man, he told y'all, if you want to fight me, go call Al, because Al is the one that makes his fights. That's his advisor. That's who makes his fights.
I'll take it a step further. You got to go beyond waiting until the fights are announced. How about we just allow the fight to play out? Like, let's see the fight. You know, fights aren't one on paper. You might hear a fight announcement and scoff at it, thinking it's going to be trash, and then it turns out to be a damn good fight. You be like, oh man,
yeah.
you
I give
never
you a
know.
perfect example. I give you a perfect example of that, and that was the Pitbull Cruz fight. Because I just knew up and down. I was like, man, I'm not watching this. I don't even want to see it. And then after the fight was over, I was like, you know what? That fight was good as a mother. I ain't even gonna lie.
Action packed.
That fight was good as a mother. I mean, I wasn't expecting. I was thinking Tank Davis was gonna knock this little Mexican dude out, and it was gonna be what it was. But when I went back and watched that fight on the app, I was like, you know what? That fight was good. I can't even lie. That man messed his hand up, and he was fighting that dude with one hand for 8 rounds. And that man, that dude Pitbull was on Tank Davis the entire fight. Once Tank Davis messed his hand up, and Tank Davis had to use footwork, he had to use his boxing ability, he had to use his ring IQ. You had to see Tank Davis use almost every tool bag he had in that tool case. I mean, every tool in his tool bag. You had to see him use almost every one in order to make it out of that fight, because Pitbull was on him.
Yep. You just got to just allow the fights to play out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It ain't about the name. It ain't about any of these other things. It's the action, you know, and how these guys prepare. That's the other thing. We don't know what state, what condition these guys are going to be in, both mentally and physically, by the time they get in the ring. And sometimes that, like you just alluded to, the hand, him just having an injured hand, now he got to dig a little bit deeper into the bag and do some things that we had him, you know, known him to do, things that he wasn't synonymous with, like his footwork. Then you like, damn, like, okay, he got some feet on him. We just got to just allow these things to play out. And from my understanding, man, Lamont Roach is a hell of a technical fighter. I personally think that it's going to be a good tactical matchup, but I do feel as though the difference between the two is going to be the disparity in power, the attrition. At some point, I do think attrition will take over, but early on, and maybe even midway through the rounds, 6, 7, somewhere around there, I think that's when things are probably going to take a turn, unless Roach gets clipped with something early.
Yeah, I think it's going to be. I think it's going to be almost similar to the Leo Santa Cruz. I think it's going to be almost similar to the Leo Santa Cruz, and the reason I say that is because Lamont Roach, although he has decent footwork, he don't move around the ring like that. He pretty much stands in front of his opponent and use his offense, and he got pretty decent defense. But Lamont Roach is not going to be the one that's going to be moving around the ring like that. He's not going to be going in and out and all that stuff. He's going to be pretty much right there in front of Tank. And I think, being though that they got history, he knows what to. I ain't gonna say he knows what to expect, but he has an idea of what to expect from Tank Davis because he has been in the ring with Tank Davis before. So he has an idea of what to expect from Tank Davis. So he's not going to be like Rolly. He's not going to be like Rolly and just charge in recklessly. He's gonna come behind a jab and try to work his way in that into the inside and catch Tank with some punches that hopefully Tank he for Roach. Hopefully Tank doesn't see coming. I think the difference in the two fighters is going to come down to the ring generalship and the experience. I think Tank
Mm.
Davis ring generalship and his ring IQ and the experience he has is much higher than Roach. I think Roach is a good fighter, but when you're dealing with somebody on the level of a Tank Davis, you have to be in there with high level fighters because Tank Davis, although you look at him and say, "Oh, he's a small individual, he just got power." Tank Davis been in there with some good fighters. He's been in there with some world champions, some on the crust of being Hall of Fame fighters. Um, so when you in there with a guy that's been in the ring with a lot of those top level fighters, it's not going to be as easy as you think it is because he's small.
Yeah, and I think the main thing is this, going back to Pitbull, who made him use his legs a little bit more. Um, Pedraza, where he had those moments where he took him on the inside. You got a guy in Rolly who was just strong. I think that they did a pretty good job with the matchmaking with Tank Davis as far as giving him various looks. It's like very little that he hasn't seen. Maybe there hasn't been one guy, but then again, you got to ask yourself just like how complete many of these fighters are today. Because you got some guys that are exceptional in one area in particular. Like they box extremely well from the outside, but
Mm-hmm.
they may not be the best as far as coming forward and applying pressure and being able to do, things like cutting the ring off. Then you got other guys where they're exceptional at applying pressure, but they may not box as well on the outside.
Right, right.
Then you got some guys where they got a particular punch that they throw well, but then there's other punches that they might not throw so well.
Yeah,
So
it's not. Yeah, it's
you
not
got like
too
a lot of
many.
specialists.
Yeah, it's not too many guys on on the top level. Well, I'm not even gonna say on the top level. There's not too many guys, period, in the sport of boxing that have the complete package. Like you said, some guys does some things better than others. There's very few guys that have the total package. Very few of them. And even if they have the total package, they still are weak in certain areas in that total package. So when you look, you have to give Tank Davis a bunch of different type of fighters because, like you said, he was in there with a brawler in Pitbull Cruz. He was in there with somebody who just tried to bully him around with Rolly Romero. He was in there with a guy that had fast hands like Ryan Garcia, and then he's been in there who was he been in there with a guy that was technical like Leo Santa Cruz. And then you see he was in there with a guy who was tall and rangy in Mario Barrio. So he's been in there with almost every single style. Then he was in there with a guy that had boxing ability with Frank Martin, who had a little bit of power as well. So he's been in there with every different style. And so he just takes a little bit from every fight that he had. And he said, okay, well, I know I did this in this fight. Let me see how can I apply to this person. Or, okay, I did that in this fight. Let me see how I can apply this to this fighter. So even though you might say, oh, Tank Davis ain't really fought nobody, but then when you look at the type of fighters that he fought and you break down who he really has fought and the style of fighters that he fought, you be like, okay, yeah, he might not fight the quality names that we're looking for him to fight, but he fought a lot of different style of fighters where he can take a little bit from each fight and make it his own.
And that's the main thing with matchmaking, man. That's the main thing is getting a variety of looks and forcing
Mm-hmm.
the guy to do different things, and he can get comfortable with doing these things in a fight. Things that he's working on in training, being able to apply them in real time in high leverage situations.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
A lot of people don't look at it that way. They just look at, oh, this ain't nobody. He gonna walk right through this dude. It ain't about the fact whether he's gonna walk through him or not. It's about the look that the guy is giving him. That's why I say I don't like rushing these prospects too early. I want them to grow, get the experience of fighting different styles of fighting, because you're not going to fight the same style every single night when you in that upper level of fighters in your division. Then everybody don't fight the same way, so you need those different looks of different styles, and when you get that look that you've never been in there with, and you have some adversity and you can work your way through it, then you got something on tape where you can go back and look at it and say, okay, this is what he was doing to me, this is where I was having problems at. But if
Right.
you never been in there with nobody like that, you don't know what to work on because you never had that issue.
Nah, 1000%, man. 1000%. You know, I was telling these guys, I don't think that necessarily being dropped is always a bad thing. Now, of course, you don't want to have your chin tested at the most inopportune time, but in the event that it is tested and you're able to get up and weather the storm, that's something that you can recall in a later moment when you're facing some adversity. Like, all right, I got dropped before. This is nothing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm able to compose myself. I think that's
Right.
one of the things that makes a guy like Monster Inoue so dangerous. Like, not only does he have the speed and the power and the good technical ability, but he has those moments. Like the first fight with Nonito Donaire, he got his damn orbital bone fractured. That's
Mm-hmm.
something that stops a lot of guys. We done seen Sonny Edwards, Billy Joe Saunders, Daniel Dubois, Kell Brook. We seen a host of guys get their shit broke and succumb to that injury. Like that's excruciating. Double
Yeah.
vision, all that.
Yeah.
It's not easy to fight through something like that. So anyway, when I look at him, I'm like, yo, whoever beats him, they really gonna have to come with a hell of an effort to
Yeah.
stop a guy like that, because not only does he have skills, but this dude is also he's fortified, he's ossified, you know what I mean, and he just got that fortitude, man. He's just a very thorough individual.
Yeah.
You seen when he got dropped in that fight with Neri, with Luis Neri. Most
Yep.
guys, what do? They hop right back up. When they don't have that experience, they hop right back up. Like we seen with Zab Judah. Get
Yeah.
dropped, get embarrassed. They want to jump up and get it right back right away. They ain't even trying to give themselves, the mandatory 8 so they could clear out the cobwebs and get their bearings, get their shit together, and take that full 8 count.
Right. Right.
Anyway,
And that,
took that knee.
yeah, sometimes you gotta have, and that comes with ring IQ. You gotta know, okay, hold up. I ain't all there yet. Let me wait a second before you hop right up. Because the first thing anybody, I mean, even just you sitting there wide awake, if you hop right up, you're gonna get a little head dizzy real quick. You're gonna get dizzy real quick because you shaking that brain. You all that blood rushing down real quick. You're gonna get dizzy for a hot second. So when you get knocked down and you hop up like that, you
Hmm.
already got dropped. So you already a little woozy or stunned, and then you hopped up and rushing all that blood down. You're gonna do exactly like Zab Judah do. We see it happen multiple times when guys try to get up and they fall right back down.
Yep.
So I mean, sometimes you gotta take that knee, and sometimes it's better to take a knee when you get wobbled. Anyway, it's better to take a knee instead of just trying to muster through it and letting yourself get caught with a clean shot, and now you might be out cold.
Yep.
Sometimes, like with Charlo, he took that knee. He knew he wasn't all there. He was like, "Hold up, let me take this knee because if he hit me with another shot, I might go down and probably can't get up."
Yep. But that comes from the experience, like you said before, having those moments where you had adversity. And it doesn't always come in the form or the package in which people think or expect it should come in. Like it got to be against somebody with some crazy name. Like, nah, it could just be this guy who's just like real sturdy, and he's gonna provide the adequate resistance
Yeah,
in a particular area. Like that's the other thing too, is certain areas, like you said, I'll give you a perfect example. One of the one of my favorite examples is Call the Truth Williams, right?
Mm-hmm.
Call the Truth Williams was a damn good fighter. I mean, you get a name like the Truth by being a good fighter. But the
Mm-hmm.
one thing with Carl Williams is his team, they never addressed this one issue that he had. He would always drop his right hand every time he shot his jab. And then in damn near every fight where Carl Williams lost, that's how he lost. He got knocked out because he got clipped by a damn left hook, dropping his right hand when shooting his jab. But that's something that they should have worked on, especially since they had proof of concept. This is on film. We know, okay, he does this every time he shoots his jab, and it's cost us. We should have addressed that. So that's the thing, man. It's like you can be a guy who's a blue chip prospect on paper where you're projected to be a Hall of Fame out the gate, but you might have those little things that need to be addressed, those little things that need to be tweaked. And just because this one guy that you fought wasn't able to completely exploit it, it doesn't mean that it won't be costly somewhere down the line. So you gotta have these certain fights with guys that are gonna test you in those ways.
A perfect name. I mean, a perfect person to come to mind. Big Baby Anderson.
Yep.
I kept saying I see holes in his games. I see holes in his game, and they never corrected a hole. They just thought because of his athleticism, he was gonna overtake those flaws that he had. And he got in there with Mark Baconi, and I said right before that fight happened, I did a breakdown. We was talking about the fight, and I said, don't be surprised if you see Big Baby Anderson get set on his pockets for the first time. I said it right before that fight happened, and sure enough, I think it was the fifth round, or might have been the second or third round. I think it was early in the fight.
Yeah, it was early.
Yeah,
Early.
he got sat on his pockets, and I was like, I knew it. I knew it was going to happen. And then he ended up getting sat down on his pockets again later on in the fight, and then he ended up getting stopped. And I was like, I saw it. The man has flaws that they haven't corrected. They thought because of his athleticism, and he was a heavyweight, he was going to be able to overcome those flaws that he had because he was so athletic as a heavyweight.
Yup, and we saw it then that cost him in the fight with Charles Martin. He was getting hit with them damn straight left hands, pulling straight back with his hands down. And the thing with Big Baby Anderson is I think it's only small tweaks, to be honest with you. Small tweaks. Small tweaks for him. Like get your ass off the line and put your hands up more often than not and just stop pulling straight back. I think he simplified his fight game, man. I think the sky's the limit for that dude because he got everything else that you need. He got solid power and he got good hand speed, and like you alluded to, he's got fantastic athleticism and reflexes for a big man. I just think that he just relies on them too much. I feel like he just needs to just do the fundamental things and allow those things, allow his athleticism to be a supplement to the fundamentals.
Yep, yep. And you know what I hate when I see. I don't know what they train when they in camp. I hate seeing a fighter pull their head straight back. You're taught to keep your head tucked. I don't understand why I see so many fighters pull their head straight back instead of moving their head to the side. I see it time and time again. More fighters pull their head straight back instead of moving their head to the side or ducking than I see any other fighters. And it's usually the taller fighters. It's usually the taller fighters because they believe they're so tall that they can just pull straight back and they're going to be out of reach. Well, you might be out of reach of an average guy, but what if you're dealing with that average guy that got exceptionally long arms? So you thought because of his height, he wasn't going to reach you, but he got arms that's longer than normal people his height, and he's able to catch you right on your chin. So I just hate when I see fighters pull straight back.
Or dealing with a guy that got quick feet to where you pull straight back, he could follow you out. Because we see that happen with guys too. They get followed out the back door, and now you're getting touched up with these damn clean shots. I think that part of it is this too, man. Just like not wanting to be hit, and understandably so. Like nobody wants to be hit because getting hit hurts. But I think that more guys, if they were looking to be a tad bit more offensive minded on the defensive end, like transitioning from defense to offense, then they would slip a little bit more, or even like catch and shoot and do things like that. But I feel like that's something that requires a certain level of comfortability. Like you got to be calm and poised and be able to see everything in order to stand in there and just make somebody miss by this much and still be in position to come back with something.
Yeah, another fighter that does that, and I hope he corrected before he get in. I don't think he is, because it's too much of a habit for him now, and that's Shakur Stevenson. He does that too. He'll pull straight back instead of dipping his head to the side. I see it. He does it a lot in his fight, and Tank Davis even noticed it. Tank Davis said, "You don't see him slip no punches. He pulls straight back. He don't slip punches." And so Tank Davis noticed that. And with a guy like Tank Davis noticing that, he's going to set you up to pull straight back, and he's going to set you up, and it's going to be a shot. You hope that he don't throw, because if he throw it, if he sets you up and he throw it at the right moment, 9 times out of 10 you probably going to get sat down.
I'll say this about Shakur though. I think that the reason why he gets away with it a lot is because of his vision. Shakur's got fantastic vision. Like he sees everything. If you watch him, like sometimes I watch fighters and I just look at their eyes. I watch different fights. Sometimes I look at the feet, but sometimes I just look at their eyes. And Shakur is one of them guys where like he sees everything. Like, he's got great vision. The other thing too is he's got a great feel for like the point of attack. The moment that his foot and the opponent's lead foot are aligned, he's either ready to throw something or he's ready to be defensive. So he's very responsible in that regard. It's like the moment y'all are in proximity, well, he's in proximity with his opponent, he's ready to do something. I think a lot of it, again, it starts with his eyes, starts with his vision. But I do agree, he probably could get his head off the line a little bit more. And I feel like it would make him even more dangerous offensively, because it would only take his counterpunching up a notch if he were to just keep himself in position to fire something right back. Because he's a solid counterpuncher, but I feel like he could be even better.
Yeah. Another thing, I don't think fighters notice when you move your head to the side instead of moving straight back, you see a different angle where you could throw another shot. So when you throw your head, when you move your head to the side, if a guy's coming with a straight shot and you move your head to the side, not only are you out of the way of that shot, but now you're on the side where he just threw that punch at, and he has nothing to protect himself. You could throw a shot back. You're out of the way of the punch, and you could throw a shot back. So it's just like small little fundamentals like that people get away from, and I don't understand what these trainers be training these guys.
Yeah, yeah. But you got to see everything, though, man. You got to see everything. But yo, it's funny you say that. I was watching a clip recently. It was from a couple months back. It was with Roberto Duran, and he was trying to give Anthony Joshua tips on placing shots to the body, and that was one of the things that he was talking about.
Yeah, I mean, it's small things like that. See, I I'm from I grew up around boxing basically my whole life, and got family that fight now, and those are the things, like a lot of things that the my aunt taught his sons was head movement, and footwork. Before they threw a punch, they learned how to move their head and they learned their footwork. Then they start learning on throwing punches. They 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 he was big on you can't knock out what you can't hit. So yeah, you might get in there with a guy that's a knockout artist, but if he can't hit you, you ain't got to worry about his power. You got one of the things out of the way. His power is irrelevant if he can't hit you. So he could be the strongest person in the world, but if he can't hit you, that power is irrelevant. So now you just got to worry about making him miss and countering him. When you make him miss, you make him pay. After he missed, you hit him with a combination, make him pay for it. And that's why he built up if you look at all his sons got fast hands because he wants you to make them miss and throw a combination. Make them miss, hit him with a two punch combination, hit him with a 3-punch combination because you got him open.
Yeah, that's the other thing too, man. It seems like there's so much of an emphasis on make them miss nowadays, and I'm like, damn, like where's the make them pay? You see, Roy
But
Jones, he had that segment where he was talking about the feet are like the digger. He's like, you gotta stay on the job. Don't take yourself too far out of range to where now you can't work. And that's
but
something that we see quite
I'm
a
about
bit
to get up
nowadays.
out of here. I got to get ready to take
Yeah.
my wife to work. So
Likewise, 9:35.
yeah,
All
I
right,
appreciate
folks.
everybody for coming through. We'll catch y'all on the next one. I don't know what happened with BBO. He had some type of technical difficulty, but I appreciate Ant coming up here. My
Yes,
man
sir.
Crush. And we'll catch y'all on the next one. Make sure y'all tune in tomorrow morning. Jay Hardcore. We got another court session. It seemed like Remo challenged me to a court session. So y'all watch me take another one down. Another one bites the dust. But it's your boy D Free, Ant, Crush, BBO, and we out. BBO, get us up out of here.